Call of Duty lives and dies off its maps. We've already seen quite a bit of discussion around the Black Ops 7 maps in the beta. Sometimes the maps on day one, they're just not going to cut it. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about what I think are the worst launch maps ever in every Call of Duty. All the way from Call of Duty 4 through Black Ops 6. So you guys let me know in the comments which COD game you think had the best or worst launch map selection. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos, and no, today is not AI Jimmy. Let's start off with COD 4. I'm gonna go with Block. Hands down the worst launch map in the game, and I would argue it remained the worst map in the game ever, well, until it was done, even after DLC was released. Yes, DLC. Block is too big. There's way too many places for you to randomly get shot from. It takes place in a big courtyard surrounded by two-story buildings and vantage points, so you literally never, well, you're never going to be able to keep an eye on where everybody is. Also doesn't help the fact it's a dark map, where even if you could see everyone's location at once, you weren't going to be able to magically look through all the shadows. Block was bad. I think it's deserving. World at War. Upheaval. Honestly, this one was a hard decision to make because most of the launch maps in World at War were pretty solid in their own way. But Upheaval was usually one of the least played maps, and it's one that was frequently voted against in the pregame lobby. Very cluttered map, definitely had some cool vibes and intense firefights, as all the maps in World at War did, but it often felt a little too cluttered for me. Pretty easy to camp in plain sight here because of the sheer number of hiding spots, but honestly, it wasn't terrible. Something for World at War had to be on the list, so I just decided to go with Upheaval, even if it was still, I would say, a solid 7 out of 10 map. Modern Warfare 2 2009. Derail. You may have expected me to put Wasteland here, but I would argue that Derail was actually worse. Wasteland was ridiculously unbalanced, but it was at least fun time to time because of how crazy that middle bunker could get and how satisfying it could be to go on a long sniper streak. But this map, it was slow, it was painful, and it was not fun. No matter what game mode you were playing or what class you had equipped, you could never tell where an enemy was or what they were doing. And it truly didn't matter what game mode you were playing because the flow was going to be painfully, methodically slow. Modern Warfare 2 was a crazy fast-paced, explosive game. But this map literally sucked all the life out of fast-pacedness and explosiveness. It was terrible. We can't argue. Yes, it was a snow map, but it was terrible. Black Ops. Crisis. Old school players should know all about the problems this map had. The original Black Ops had some really good maps, all-time great maps in the lineup, but Crisis, it wasn't one of them. Felt like a whole campaign level slapped into the multiplayer with a layout that was varied and inconsistent from area to area. You had spawns that did not keep the pace up at all. Now, in the Wager Match playlist, Crisis was actually cut down to about 40% of its usual size. That was good. In that context, it actually played all right. Standard 6v6, it was bad. Modern Warfare 3 2011. Easy pick. Maybe the easiest. Downturn. It's one of the most forgotten maps in COD history because nobody played on it, even though it was a launch map and one of the most popular COD games of all time. Took place in New York City. Had some interesting visuals as you ran through the streets, the office buildings, the tunnels, but in terms of flow, it wasn't that great. It was also really difficult to see people because it had this gray and lifeless color palette to the environment, and it was one of the least played maps in the entire game. In fact, in all of my time playing Modern Warfare 3, I don't think I ever saw a lobby actually vote for Downturn. Whenever you played on this map, you were loading into the match that was already in progress. That tells me right there it's the worst map in the game by a pretty huge margin. Black Ops 2. Aftermath. I think this is another easy pick. Often seen as one of the worst Treyarch maps of all time, and I think it's for good reason. It's justified. Another map that kind of felt like a campaign mission that was thrown into the multiplayer to fill the space and pad the list of available maps. Fighting in the remains of Los Angeles after a war broke out in the campaign, and yes, the visuals were cool at certain points, but the layout was terrible. There was no flow. There was way too many camping spots, and a couple places you could spawn trap the enemy team if your squad was in decent communication with one another. Now, Black Ops 2 had a fantastic lineup of maps on day one, but nobody was voting for Aftermath. Call of Duty Ghosts. Stonehaven. I don't think this is going to be a controversial pick. I mean, the map wasn't very good in any game mode. I guess you could say it was sometimes fun in the one life game modes like Search and Destroy simply because of how huge it was and how tense things could get when you got sniped from 10 miles away. But even then, you can't say the map was good. Just because it was less bad in certain modes than others doesn't mean it was good. Stonehaven was way too big for 6v6 multiplayer, and every single match here was the same. You spawned in, you ran around, you looked for people, you eventually got killed by somebody camping, you'd respawn, you'd do it all again. It was crap, you know it, I know it. If it was 10v10, it wouldn't be on here. Advanced Warfare. Instinct. You probably thought I was going to go with Atlas Gorge, but I decided not to pick that one because I'm not sure if it technically counts as a launch map since it was technically a DLC map during the launch period before being made free for everyone else. But out of all the maps that were there on day one, Instinct was clearly the most hated, and for good reason. In case you forgot, it was the map set in the South American jungle, and it looked great. It was one of the slowest maps in the game, though, due to how much open space there was. The flow was terrible, and it was one of the only maps in Advanced Warfare where it felt like the exosuits were actively working against you. If you boost jumped, you were just painting a target on your head, and the layout, it was bad. Black Ops 3. Metro. Now, Black Ops 3 didn't have a lot of standout maps in the beginning. Some became fan favorites over the years, and I've seen many people try to say Metro was actually good. I'm here to tell those people, you are wrong. It was hot garbage. It was pretty clearly the worst map on the launch lineup, and it was pretty big. It was slow-paced, and every once in a while, the train would roll through the middle of the map and bring the entire center section to a standstill. Some people saw potential in Metro. I wasn't one of them. Infinite Warfare. Retaliation. Now, all things considered, I think IW had solid maps. You may not have actually played on those maps because you quit Infinite Warfare early to go to Modern Warfare Remastered, but if you did play IW, you probably thought the same. Decent time with the maps, except this one. Biggest map in the game on launch day. Extremely camp heavy. A lot of the map was wide open, which made it too easy to get picked off from across the map by somebody with an MV4, and there weren't any places where the advanced movement worked in your favor here. So even though the maps in the game may have been a little overhated, Retaliation, I think it deserves the negative rep. It sucked. COD World War II. USS Texas. Might be a hot take because most of you probably had Gustav Cannon, but I think USS Texas was worse. Gustav may have been slow and one-sided, but I think it escapes the bottom spot because it was at least kind of fun to play on if you were in the team that controlled the middle cannon, kind of like how Wasteland and Modern Warfare 2 was fun if you were controlling the map. USS Texas, lame. Lame all the way around. If you weren't getting spawn killed by somebody sitting up in the second story window, you were getting surprise killed by somebody lurking around the inside of the ship with a fire shotgun. And it's not even like it was fun to be the one spawn trapping from the second story because it felt cheap. You weren't taking any precise aim at people from the top of the vantage point like Gustav Cannon. You were just shooting fish in a barrel until somebody managed to spawn on the other side of the map. I mean, Gustav and Texas, both bad. I honestly think Texas was worse. I'll let you guys talk it over in the comments, but that's probably my hot take for the video. Black Ops 4. Contraband. Black Ops 4 had good launch maps. Granted, a good chunk of them were remakes from previous Black Ops games, but the original maps were solid. Contraband may have been the worst map in the game on launch day, at least in my opinion, but it was still good. 7 out of 10. Set on a beach in Colombia, pretty strictly 3 lanes, 2 side lanes being good for flanking, and the middle lane being intense for sniper duels and some ballsy pushes into enemy territory. Plus, the water that ran underneath the middle of the map gave you some flanking potential if you were able to swim underneath the middle bridge with nobody noticing. Wasn't everyone's cup of tea, I get it, due to the reliance on water, but I had fun. Again, it was the worst map in the game on launch day, but it was still a decent map. All the sucky Black Ops 4 maps were added post-launch. Modern Warfare 2019. Grozny Raid. Still don't have any clue why the map was in 6v6's rotation. Believe me, this was a hard choice to make because there were some really trash 6v6 maps in this game. I could have put Piccadilly here, Euphrates Bridge. I think everyone would agree with me. But I also think it's going to be a solid hate train chugging for Grozny Raid because this was honestly one of the worst experiences I've ever had with a Call of Duty map, period. If you want to talk about COD maps with too many vantage points, camping spots, and flanking routes, boom. I don't think there's been another COD map with so many horrible attributes, but Grozny Raid, it's a piece of work. Honestly, might be one of the top 10 worst 6v6 maps in COD history, but for now, it's right here. Black Ops Cold War. Miami. Did you know this game only had 8 maps for 6v6 multiplayer on launch day? Thankfully, at least 5 of them were good, but the other 3 were terrible, which was one of the reasons why a lot of people hated the game when it came out. It had nothing to do if you were a 6v6 player. But as for the worst map in the game on day 1, it's gotta be Miami. No question about it. The lighting was terrible, the layout was complicated, the spawns sucked, the visibility was bad. Even though the vibes were pitch perfect here, it was not fun to play on. Black Ops Cold War really turned itself around after the first couple months since Treyarch had the opportunity to fix all the bugs and get to work on post-launch content, but the launch map lineup, it was bad. Only 8 maps in rotation, and you were unfortunately going to be stuck playing on Miami more than you probably wanted to. Vanguard. Red Star. This was close, because I wanted to put subpins on the list since it was so linear and boring, but after going through the Vanguard subreddit, it really seems like most of the community hated Red Star a little more. I get it. It was big, snowy map, took place at a big town square, surrounding buildings, so you would constantly get killed by people sitting in windows, camping corners, and it was literally impossible to walk around the middle courtyard without getting killed from 10 different directions. So remember Block from Call of Duty 4? Well, Red Star and Vanguard was basically just a remake of that when you get down to it. All the problems were the same, and Sledgehammer, well, didn't fix them. Modern Warfare 2 2022. Santa Cena Border Crossing. Easy pick here. One of the most hated maps in COD history, and for good reason. The layout was tight, it was frantic, the cars all exploded. If you looked at them the wrong way, the spawn sucked. This was an overall horrible experience in every game mode. Now, since this map was introduced to the world, it became one of the most talked about maps in franchise history for all the wrong reasons, and you knew it was going to get a spot today. Before you even clicked on the video, you knew Santa Cena would be on this list. Modern Warfare 3 2023. Derail. It's kind of unfair because all the launch maps in the game were just remakes of classic Modern Warfare 2, but that also means that it gets to be on the list a second time because it was once again the worst map in the game. I don't have to explain it. All the problems with the classic one were brought back, and they were arguably made worse since the guns in the game were a lot more accurate and easy to use at longer ranges, which made every camping spot even more powerful than it was in the classic Modern Warfare 2 because you could just laser beam people from across the map. Yeah, hope it never comes back again. And last but not least, Black Ops 6. Red Card. People really didn't like the maps in BO6 for the most part, and I think they weren't quite as bad as people made them out to be, but I get it. Red Card was probably the worst. This was a map set in and around a big soccer stadium. Basically, everybody hated it because it's played slow. It was annoying here. The spawns sucked because of the size of the map. We're frequently spawning way too far from the action, and then you finally made it all the way back where the fighting was, and you would instantly get shot down by somebody camping in one of a million corners. Objective modes were a little bit better here, but it was easily the worst map in the game, and I'm really hoping Treyarch learned their lessons from launch maps in BO6 for BO7, but from the looks of it, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, BO7 seems to have a solid lineup of maps. We'll talk about it later once it's out. There you go. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree, and I'll see you soon.